All right, so this is number 2 of the homework 9, I believe. Yeah, so I'll just read it real quick. So number 2, wait, this is the wrong one. Do I have, all right, this one. So number 2 asked, write the following program. Use a struct data type to store information about courses. Every course is characterized by the following information. First, the title, which is 20 characters, the number of credits, which will be an integer, the instructor name, which is 15 characters, and 4, the suggested order of the course and the course sequence of the major. So number 4 is like sort of like which year they should take it. It's like a 100 class they'll take in the first year, 200 second, 300 third. So like pretty much tells you when to take the class. Then and when we get this, you have to have the information being read from an input file. Then you have to store the information in an array and then display that array. Then you want to have it be stored alphabetically. Then you want the order of the courses and the suggested order of the course, like I was mentioning before, like which year you should take it, and then suggest such that the one course with a lower suggested order is always before a course with a higher suggested order, assuming that the student cannot take more than X credits per year. So that pretty much means if you can only take like 6 credits, then it will try to like have you take the lower number of courses first, and even if the higher courses will give you 6 credits exactly, it's just trying to prioritize the lower classes more. And then, yeah, that's what the question was asking for. Did that make sense, or do you want to explain what they're asking for again?
No, I think that's fun. I
All
got
right.
that.
What is a
So
dynamic data struct, or do we not know that yet?
we were doing it in class with like the whole struct thing.
No, the
Remember the?
dynamic, it said like for extra points, dynamic something.
Uh, I can't recall. I
Okay.
know it's sort of similar to the library thing we coded in class. All right. So I'll just show you the input file first. So you have ESC 999. It's worth 5 credits. The instructor's Marshmallow, and then you should take in like your second year. Math 123 gives 3 credits. That's the instructor name. First year, CSC 4 credits. Third year, JPN 1 credit. Third year, AMS 2 credits, and you should take in your first year. So that was the input file. So you're going to start off with include stdio for obvious reasons. It's like the go-to pretty much for every code we've been doing so far. Include stdlib and include string.h because you're going to deal with strings and you sort of have to like manipulate them a little bit. All right. Then you're going to start off with struct course, and struct course is going to contain the title, credits, instructor, name, and the order for which you should take it. So you have to start it off like this before the main function. So you're going to have character of the title. A title is the name of the class, so it's obvious why it's going to be a character. Like, yeah, ESC, you can't really do ESC in integer, so you have to do it in character. And they wanted it up to size of 20. Then int credits, that's just how much credits you're going to take from the class or how much credits the class is giving you. Character for the instructor name, and it's up to 15. And then the integer of the order, so it's like when you should take it. And then that's going to be saved as courses and temp. I'm going to explain temp later. Yeah. And then course is just like the course. So you're going to have the int main file. So you're going to use a few for loops. So that's why you want to have int I and j ready. Then you're also going to need a counter later. So that's why you have a count. Then line 100. So pretty much it's going to scan every line as 100 characters. So yeah, and I'll get to that in a minute. Then these variables are going to be needed for a later part for like the when you're trying to get the credits and like which year you should take them. So int x, I'm pretty sure I used to have to scan for the credits. Then credits is going to be equal to 0 because you're going to have to, I'll show you why why it has to be a 0. And C10, the year, you should take it, you're going to have like a year as a counter. Int k con 0 is going to act like a flag later, and character ch with the asterisk because you're going to want the file location. I mean, not the file. It's going to act like a pointer. So first off, because they wanted it from the input text, you have to have file asterisk input INP, and it's the same thing as we've done before when opening an input file. You have the while loop and have INP equal f open the input file.txt and set it to read mode, so make sure that it's reading everything correctly. And then you're gonna have a printf statement for when it can't be opened, and have an exit 1 because an exit 1 signifies like it didn't work properly. All right, and this is gonna this part right here. This is gonna read and scan the input file. So yeah. So while f gets line size of line INP, so what that means is that f gets, it's going to scan everything from the input file. So line, as I mentioned before, it's going to scan, store in line, and the size of line was 100, and it's going to check it in the input file, which we established here. Yeah. And then while it's going to occur when it doesn't reach the end of file. And then right here, ch, I set it equal to strtok of line when there's an empty space. So essentially what that means, right? Whenever it sees a string and sees a space, it's going to count this as one string. Then it's going to cut off and start a new string. And yeah, so every time it sees a space, it pretty much tells the string, okay, stop and start the next string. And then you're gonna have a while loop. So when ch doesn't equal the end of file, you'll do a for loop. So I equals 0, I is less than 4, and I plus plus. I is less than 4 because like this part's gonna be 0, the credits is gonna be 1, the name's gonna be 2, and the order is gonna be 3. So yeah. So then it's gonna check for if I is equal to 0, it's gonna know that hey, this was the course name, and it's gonna copy the string and save it in the course count .title. Yeah. And then if it's 1, it's gonna say, hey, this is an integer, and then it's gonna convert that string to an integer. That's why you use ATOI of CH, and it's gonna store it in credits. Then if I is equal to 2, it's gonna say this is a string and copy it to the instructor. And then if it's not, which is not 0, 1, or 2, it's going to say, okay, this is for the order, and it's going to use ATOI to convert this character for whichever order it was to an integer. All right, and then this part right here, the ch equals strtok null is an empty space. That's going to pretty much be used for like when the loop ends, because without it, it's not going to work correctly. So that's why you need it. And then you're going to have a counter for like to count each and every one of them for like each line. So after the while loop ends, you're going to have to close the file. So that's where fclose INP comes. Then you can just do a printf saying that the contents of this file are, and have a quick for loop with the printf %s, %d, %s, %d for the course title, the course credit, the course instructor, and the course order. And the reason why you want to do it in a for loop is to make sure that it displays all of them correctly instead of just showing just one course at just one course. So yeah, and then the second part of the question, so yeah, that was the first part. And the second part of the question was asking to order them alphabetically. And in order to display them alphabetically, you have to use a bubble sort. And so that's where I and J came in. you have to use 2 for loops in order to do it. So for when I is equal to 0, I is less than the count. Yeah, that's why you're using the count before. So like it knows like how many courses there were. So yeah, so when for I equals 0, I is less than the count, which is the total number of courses it saw, I plus plus, and for j equals 0, j is 1 less than the count, and then j plus plus. And then it's going to do an if statement where strcmpi. You could also use strcmp, but I use strcmpi because it's not case sensitive like strcmp. All right, so you're going to use an if statement, strcmpi. The course is j dot title. The course is j plus 1 title. And whenever that's greater than 0, you're going to have a temporary. So yeah, I was talking about temp, right? So yeah, this is where temp came in from before. So you're going to store the courses j in temp, and then courses j is going to be equal to courses j plus 1. So course, whatever courses j plus 1 was, it's going to be now as known as course j, and courses j plus 1, it's going to be temp, which was courses j. So the reason why we had temp was to make sure we can save the original version of courses j for when we swap it. So that's the reason why. And this bubble sort was to make sure you can swap the courses alphabetically. So did that make sense? I know I sort of went a little bit fast for that part.
That's good.
All right. Then yeah, a simple printf statement with the for loop being less than where I being less than count. Yeah. And that this should print it alphabetically. Then the third part was you have to, what's it called? All right, so the third part was to enter the credit value, and it's going to give you all the courses you should take. But before you do that, you have to do a bubble sort for the course order, or else it's not going to work properly. So yeah, same thing as before, really, with that bubble sort, except this time it's going to be count -1 minus I. And then, yeah, for if the course is in order, course is j plus 1, and then have the temporary equals to course j equals course j plus 1, course j plus 1 equals temp, and I'll sort it so that it will go in order instead of just like whichever number the code feels like it. And then this part is the actual calculating the credit part. So just simple printf to see how many credits you want, and then what's it called? Initialize the chosen array for each course as 0, indicating that the course is not chosen. So pretty much you're gonna have that pretty much means it's c equals 0, the course isn't chosen and it's still open. So it'll tell you, it'll let the code know like if it can still be used or not. If it was equal to 1, it'll tell the code that's being used and you can't assign it twice to like in different years. So yeah, that's what the whole point of this part was. And you're gonna loop, then you're gonna have a for loop, and it's gonna see, okay, if ci is equal to 1, the course is already chosen, and you continue with the next course available. And then it's also gonna have a year counter in order to tell you like which year it is. All right, and then credits is equal to the course I credits. I just did it like this, so I don't have to like type this out every time. Then you're gonna have printf the year with the year counter to tell you like which year it was, and then printf the entire course thing with the title, credits in order. Then you're gonna have a for loop where j equals I plus 1, and j is less than the count. So c on equals to 1 is used to decide the continuity of this loop, and then it's the credits. It's less than if the credits of the course. Let me just read this properly. All right, so if the credits plus the courses of the courses j credits are less than or equal to x, and it's c bracket j does not equal to 1, so that's it essentially means if the sum of the current credits in the next course is less than or equal to X, which is the credits that you entered before, and if the course is not currently chosen, then it's going to make sure that it'll choose the course, which is CJ equals to 1, and then it's going to add up the credits and print the entire thing. And then if the course order and the course J plus 1 were equal to each other, I'm just going to check if the next course and current course are of the same order, and if so, they can continue doing the entire thing. And then if it wasn't equal to each other, then it's going to check for all previous course so that there's at least one course which is not chosen, and then it's going to set the C on, which was the flag from earlier, to 0 and end the loop. All right, did that make sense? I know I sort of rambled on a bit here, and it is the important part, so I can explain it again if you want.
I get it when you're explaining it. It's just, there's a lot.
I know it's a lot to take in. All right, then I'll just compile it real quick and execute it. Let me just go to the input file and show. So yeah, the contents of the file, ESC 999, 5 credits, Marshmallow 2. You can see that it took everything correctly. Then what it does it in alphabetical order. AMS is first, then CSE, ESC, JPN, and MAT. Then enter the value of the credits. So let's say the max credits is 6. In year 1, you take AMS 123 and Math 123. Year 2, you take ESC and JPN. In year 3, you take CSE 123. And yeah. So if you didn't include, what's it called? This part right here with the order, then whenever you did it, it would swap CSC 123 and AMS Math 123 because it would equal to 6, and that would be wrong because it's suggested that you take this course in your 3rd year and this one in your 1st year. So that's why I have to have this part. All right, that's it. Any questions?
No, that's pretty good. I got that.
All right, I'll end it here for this one.